In Quebec City this week, the talk has been about the PQ and its plans for a referendum. It all began on Monday with the PQ by-election win in the riding of Chicoutimi. David Heurtel is a political analyst. Hi, David.
Hi, Ms. Sumi.
So what Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, the PQ leader, said after the by-election victory about the referendum after Donald Trump leaves office, I mean, is this going to work as a strategy, do you think?
I don't think so, because it's kind of locked in to this all or nothing referendum strategy, because he still has to roll out his infamous blue book, right? Chapter after chapter up until the election in 6 months. And after that, his promise is to draft a provisional constitution for Quebec before going to the people in a referendum. So, and what is clear in poll after poll after poll is that Quebecers do not want this. And I'm talking also about francophones, and especially there's a big gender gap. And when you add up all these things, you know, what was true in 2023, 2024, beginning 2025 is no longer true today for Quebecers. They want to hear about affordability, healthcare, and housing. And it's really eerie how there's a parallel. He's really developing a Pierre Poilievre problem, but in a Quebec way.
But also by saying, okay, we understand the fear, we'll wait till after Donald Trump. He's actually admitting that there are risks, right? Because who's to say there's not going to be another Donald Trump? Or, you know, he is saying then that a referendum poses a risk to Quebec.
Well, he's conceding that Quebecers don't have an appetite for this, and he hasn't been able to convince them of this. He's been going down in the polls consistently, and also his statements, his attitude, it's just nothing that's really helpful, and so he's conceding this. But when you're talking about 2029 or even 2030 for referendum, when you're thinking, you know, this is the end of the month now, so people are thinking about their rent, their mortgage payment, their food costs, they're worried about their jobs, they're worried about kitchen table issues right now. So Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and the PQ are not connecting with these issues, and his only advantage right now is the division of the opposition forces.
And it's interesting that CAQ got into it with the economic angle, and it was brought by the finance minister, Éric Girard, and about how, you know, the cost of the referendum threat. But it's interesting, too, because he's the only high-profile member of the CAQ with Federalist cred, right? Because all the other people have all admitted that they voted yes in 1995.
Yes, or they've been discredited in other ways, like Geneviève Guilbeault. So, yes, Girard coming out is really strong. But what's interesting is that Christine Fréchette, who at this point is the presumptive next premier of Quebec, has been very careful. Her big speech, her big policy speech in Boucherville over the weekend was about those kitchen table issues and being very moderate, very thoughtful about real issues. And I think right now, when you oppose this to Charles Milliard, who's talking about, you know, being the bus driver for the Federalist forces in a referendum campaign, hey, hold on a second. The election's not won yet by PSPP. And so there's still a campaign to be won. And I don't think Quebecers are looking for a bus driver. They showed in the federal election last year that they wanted a thoughtful leader that is understanding of the major issues and the major challenges. And that's why Quebecers, francophones and anglophones, went big time for Mark Carney. And so I think right now Christine Fréchette has an opening here. And polling is showing that she could squeak by and be that answer to PSPP.
And very, very, very quickly, David, because we're almost out of time, the other thing of note in Monday's by-election is the fact that this is the second time the Conservatives have come in second in voting intentions. Should we make a lot of that, or is it because the CAQ doesn't have a leader yet, people don't know Charles Milliard? Can we read much into it?
I think, yeah, not too much, because remember, poll after poll after poll for years now, Éric Duhem is one of the most unpopular politicians in Quebec. Only Pierre Poilievre has a worse score than him. So he's been very present. He's very competitive in Quebec City and the Quebec regions. But again, if Christine Fréchette and Charles Milliard start coming up with real ideas on the kitchen table issues, that might go down.
Okay. Thank you very much, David.
Take care, Matsumi.